Remember when action flicks made your pulse race and your palms sweat without a single pixel of CGI? Buried beneath blockbuster noise lie 1580s brawlers still packing knockout power. Films where burning rubber and bruised knuckles told the story. Tonight we dig them up, wipe off the dust, and feel every punch again. Hit subscribe, crank the volume, and ride shotgun with us. Number 1. Nighthawks, 1981. New York streets hiss with neon and fear as Detective Deke Da Silva and terrorist Wolfgar circle each other like wounded wolves. Stallone ditches the swagger for raw nerves, showing a cop so exhausted that every subway howl feels personal. Opposite him, Rutger Hauer floats through crowds with ice blue detachment, a predator who enjoys the hunt more than the kill. Director Bruce Malcolm drags the camera through trash-strewn alleys and disco glare, building dread from everyday noise, train brakes, static, a baby's cry. The finale on Roosevelt Island, lights flickering, feels almost documentary in its panic. Why it still kicks hard? Because it treats urban terror as spiritual corrosion, asking whether saving a city means surrendering your own humanity. 40+ years later, the headlines haven't changed, and that final shotgun blast still rattles like a subway door slamming shut. Number 2. Shoot to Kill, 1988. A Seattle jewel thief murders without blinking, then vanishes into mist-soaked mountains with a hostage. Hard-edged FBI agent Warren Stanton, polished shoes slipping in mud, teams with gruff tracker Jonathan Knox, who speaks to forests the way others consult maps. Their grudging respect crackles louder than the campfires they share, while somewhere ahead, a killer hides among terrified hikers. The script baits you with classic buddy cop banter, then yanks you over cliff edges into primal survival horror. Director Roger Spottiswoode makes every rain-slick rock a potential coffin, and the gunshots echo like thunder rolling off glacier walls. It still kicks, because it welds urban procedural precision to wilderness brutality, showing that the most sophisticated hunter is helpless when nature roars, and when evil borrows a friendly smile. Number 3. Runaway Train, 1985. Two hardened convicts punch through Alaskan snow into daylight, only to board a freight engine whose throttle jams wide open. Wind howls through torn metal, rails scream across trestles, and the locomotive becomes a steel beast chasing annihilation. John Voight's Manny rages against invisible wardens, while Eric Roberts' Buck transforms from eager pup to desperate survivor. Their only ally is a lone switch operator, whispering through radio static as temperature needles plunge. Director Andrei Konchalovsky turns speed into philosophy. When a man is already condemned, what's left to fear? The practical stunt work, real locomotives smashing real snowbanks, still detonates retinas dulled by CGI. Its power endures because the runaway engine is every impulse we can't control, roaring toward a cliff we keep pretending isn't there. Number 4. Blind Fury, 1989. Vietnam blinded Nick Parker, but the war also sharpened his other senses into a lethal symphony. Now, he drifts America's highways with a farmer's smile, a battered cane concealing a katana that sings when injustice strikes. Tasked with protecting a boy from drug-running militia, Nick proves deadlier than any sighted gunman, slicing bullets from thin air and opponents from their own arrogance. Director Philip Noyce balances Zen calm with slapstick chaos, letting Rutger Hauer wink through the blood spray like a traveling Ronin comedian. It still kicks hard because its heart beats under the swagger, a veteran broken by war, who rebuilds himself as guardian angel, turning disability into superpower years before superheroes dared the same. Every swish of that blade reminds us vision is merely one way to see. Number 5. Extreme Prejudice, 1987. Jack Benteen, a Texas Ranger forged from sun-blasted granite, finds his boyhood friend Cash Dillon running Mexican drug armies across the Rio Grande. Their showdown would be scorched earth enough, but a Black Ops death squad, officially dead soldiers, storms into town with plans that rewrite treason. Director Walter Hill films the desert like an open grave, dust devils spinning around men who traded morals for medals. Bullets crunch bone with Hill's trademark shotgun editing, and Jerry Goldsmith's score beats like boots on parched earth. This one still hits because it exposes patriotism's shadow. Warriors discarded by the nation they bled for, coming home to cash in. When Benteen and Cash face each other beneath a powder blue sky, the gunfire feels like thunderclaps over a funeral that's been waiting since childhood. Number 6. Remo Williams. The Adventure Begins. 1985. Harold Smith was a nameless cop until an unlucky mugging yanked him off Manhattan's pier and into a top-secret resurrection. Reborn as Remo Williams, he's told his death certificate is filed, his fingerprints erased, and America now owns every muscle in his body. Korean Master Chaeun greets him with riddles, sarcasm, and impossible lessons. Outrun bullets on wet sand, dodge needles launched from a thumb, walk across fresh cement without sinking. Director Guy Hamilton turns Central Park and the Statue of Liberty into living obstacle courses, camera swirling as Remo masters the ghost step discipline called Sinanju. Fred Ward plays him like a blue-collar Houdini, equal parts bruised knuckles and crooked grin, making every narrow escape feel accidentally heroic. The humor never softens the blows, it sneaks past them every time. But beneath the comic book choreography beats anger at double-talking power brokers. The true villain is a defense contractor selling faulty superguns to soldiers who will never return. Remo's final leap across a collapsing suspension bridge, done with wire stunts before CGI, pounds because it's one man clawing back his identity before bureaucracy files it forever. Even today, whenever the skyline dims, the notion of being erased but fighting back sparks every pulse. Number 7. Streets of Fire. 1984. In the neon-soaked slums of a city that feels half future, half junkyard dream, rock goddess Ellen Aim is snatched mid-concert by the Bombers, a biker gang revving to the roar of synthesizers. Enter Tom Cody, trenchcoat drifter and ex-lover, hired for cash but pulled by unfinished heartbeats. Streets are wet with permanent midnight rain. Jukeboxes flicker against shattered windows, and every alley lights up like a music video teetering on apocalypse. Director Walter Hill cuts action to Jim Steinman's Thunder Ballads, turning gunfights into drum solos, fistfights into guitar feedback. The finale inside a deserted rail yard trades bullets for sledgehammers, sparks flying as love songs drown out screams. It still kicks hard because it imagines romance and violence breathing the same gasoline air. A world where rescuing a voice can save a city's soul. Michael Paray's brooding silence and Diane Lane's defiant vocals fuse myth with MTV, reminding you heroes sometimes swagger out of jukeboxes. Each shotgun blast is timed like a snare hit. Each burning fuse an electric riff that coils under your skin until you smell ozone and danger. Number 8. Lone Wolf McUade. 1983. Texas dust hangs like a curtain when Ranger J.J. McUade roars his supercharged Dodge into cartel gunfire, lone siren drowned by heavy metal engines. Chuck Norris plays him with eyes half closed, as though the sun and a lifetime of regrets glare the same. When black-clad arms dealer Raleigh Wilkes kidnaps McUade's daughter, the desert becomes a gladiator pit. Exploding jeeps cartwheel across cactus fields, Gatling guns shred adobe walls, and a buried hero literally drinks beer before shifting his truck out of its own grave. Director Steve Carver shoots shootouts like Western duels fed steroids, mariachi trumpets blaring over Uzis. Why does it still kick hard? Because it marries mythic loner tropes to Reagan-era excess. The silent cowboy reborn as bulletproof berserker who still tips his hat to grieving widows. The final warehouse showdown, Norris versus David Carradine in Kung Fu Denim, crackles with practical stunts and real bruises. Each roundhouse kick sends sweat beads flying toward a camera unafraid of distance, proving authenticity beats computer sparks. Its soundtrack slams together spaghetti western whistles and synth growls, a clash that feels like 6 shooters firing lasers into dusk. Number 9. The Hidden. 1987. Los Angeles is under siege by something that smiles while stealing Ferraris, blasting shotguns, and dancing to hard rock. It wears human faces like party masks, leaping from dying bodies into fresh hosts through a slithering bolt of light. Detective Tom Beck thinks it's just another psycho until FBI agent Lloyd Gallagher arrives, pale, distant, too quick to dodge bullets. Gallagher knows the truth. The killer is an extraterrestrial parasite that loves fast cars, loud music, and raw violence. Director Jack Shoulder treats every chase like a punk concert at 120 miles per hour, cameras rattling inside spinning convertibles and shattered storefronts. Practical effects show the creature oozing from mouths in squelching nightmares you feel in your throat. It still kicks hard because it views evil not as ideology but appetite, an urge that can hijack anyone in the wrong moment. Kyle MacLachlan's eerie calm hints he's not from around here either, turning the buddy cop formula upside down. When flamethrowers roar inside a marble city hall, you remember the 80s knew how to make insanity gleam, and how to ask if we'd fight back or accelerate. The final bullet feels like a verdict aimed at greed, adrenaline, all cravings we share. Yamiya number 10, Southern Comfort, 1981. A weekend training exercise sends 9 Louisiana National Guardsmen stomping through cypress swamps they barely bother to read on the map. When they steal dugout canoes from Cajun trappers and fire blanks as a joke, one harmless prank detonates a vendetta older than the Civil War. The bayou closes in with mist, mosquito wine, and unseen gunshots splintering Spanish moss. Commander Spencer's authority dissolves. Loyalties rot faster than boot leather submerged in black water. Director Walter Hill replaces enemy soldiers with primal environment. Quicksand bogs that swallow rifles, eerie fiddle laments drifting from distant shacks. Every frame drips humidity so thick you can taste tin in your mouth. It still kicks hard because it argues the real battlefield is ignorance. Outsiders swaggering into a culture they never tried to understand. Keith Carradine's cool head and Powers Booth's raw cynicism clash, while unseen hunters pick them off like slow fish. By the time chainsaws roar during the Cajun Party finale, the drums you hear are your own, pounding for deliverance that might never come. Its gunfire doesn't echo, it hisses, swallowed by trees, reminding you nature edits its own soundtrack and erases footprints of the arrogant before dawn, exposes bones. Number 11, Red Scorpion, 1988. A Soviet special ops giant named Nikolai is airdropped into an African desert with orders to assassinate a rebel leader. Sunburned villages and rattling AKs blur the ideological lines faster than the heat shimmer on tank armor, and Nikolai begins to question who the invader really is. When his Spetsnaz handlers slaughter civilians for sport, guilt erupts like a hidden landmine and sends him sprinting toward rebellion. Director Joseph Zito shoots gunfights under molten sunsets, every muzzle flash a desperate prayer. Dolph Lundgren's granite face cracks just enough to show the boy trapped inside the war machine. A one-man stand against Soviet gunships turns into a mythic rite of purification. Branding irons, tribal war paint, and homemade rockets made from tractor parts. It still kicks hard because it asks what happens when loyalty collides with conscience, then answers with an RPG roar that topples propaganda like brittle statues. In an age of drone warfare, the movie's raw explosions feel almost intimate. Blisters, broken teeth, and one mercenary's soul catching fire in real time. Number 12, Miracle Mile, 1988. Harry Washello answers a ringing payphone on Wilshire Boulevard at 3 a.m. and hears a terrified voice whisper, "The world ends in an hour. Sirens are absent, neon still hums, and somewhere above the horizon nuclear contrails may already be clawing toward downtown Los Angeles." Harry needs to find Julie, the girl he just met and maybe loves, before the city turns to glass. Every second director Steve DeJarnat steals from the clock tightens the grip. A jazz cafe becomes a panic bunker. A stolen tanker truck barrels through dead intersections, and the sky shifts color as though tasting ash. Gunshots echo in parking garages where strangers divide into saints and jackals. The action is desperate rather than flashy. Sprinting through collapsed traffic lights, dangling from helicopter skids, wrestling fate itself. It still kicks hard because the true explosion is dread, an invisible countdown that forces ordinary people to choose who they are when no tomorrow exists. Even now, when missile alerts fit inside phones, the film's final embrace amid falling embers feels like a dare to call someone you love before sirens drown the line. Number 13, The Last Dragon, 1985. Leroy Green roams 1980s Harlem, searching for the glow, a mystical force that turns martial artists into living comets. He trains with chopsticks and Zen riddles until fate throws him between two hurricanes: glam funk video Queen Laura Charles and swaggering crime lord Eddie Arcadian. Yet the fiercest showdown waits with Shonuff, the shogun of Harlem, who struts under flashing marquees and red football pads, declaring the streets his dojo. Director Michael Schultz blends kung fu, Motown, and comic book color until fists become drum beats and kicks spark like neon. Vanity's silken strobe music sequences melt seamlessly into flying back punches, proving romance and roundhouses can share a dance floor. It still kicks hard because it's pure alchemy, an underdog hero who fights ignorance with patience, then unleashes every suppressed lightning bolt when love is threatened. Practical wire work lets bodies arc across rooftops without CGI training wheels, and the finale's golden aura bursts straight from Leroy's conviction that kindness is stronger than swagger. Each rewatch feels like a block party, where wisdom finally grabs the mic and drops the hardest beat. Number 14. Best of the Best. 1989, 5 American Taekwondo specialists, an injured single dad, a grieving hothead, a Buddhist farm boy, a jaded biker, and a no-nonsense Texan assemble to face South Korea's undefeated national team. Training begins with cracked ribs and broken egos under Coach Kuzo's growling mantra: pop the shoulder, twist the hips, follow through. Director Robert Radler frames every drill like a confession booth. Sweat mixes with tears as hidden traumas surface between round kicks. Philip Rhee's peace-minded Tommy Lee keeps picturing the opponent who killed his brother in the ring. Eric Roberts' Alex Grady fights with a rebuilt arm and the fear of leaving his little boy fatherless. The Seoul Arena becomes a cathedral of righteous violence, each point scored against thundering drums and crowd roars that feel planetary. It still kicks hard because it argues real victory is moral, not numerical. An act of mercy that silences stadiums louder than gold medals. When rivals bow through bloodied smiles, the screen proves compassion can hit harder than any spinning back fist. Watching today, every slow-motion kick is a question. What would you sacrifice for honor larger than glory? Number 15. To Live and Die in L.A. 1985. Secret Service agent Richard Chance freefalls through Los Angeles like a bullet without a gun barrel after his partner is murdered by master counterfeiter Rick Masters. Sun-baked freeways and pastel hotels shimmer like temptation. Chance answers them with cliff-edge stunts that ignore both badge and afterlife. Director William Friedkin crashes the police thriller into punk rock cynicism. Car chases barreling the wrong way down the 110, shotgun robberies staged as federal fundraisers, and foot pursuits across aqueducts that twinkle like chrome deserts. Wang Chung's synth score pulses in rhythmic waves, syncing with heartbeats you can almost hear in the steering wheel. Willem Dafoe paints Masters as an artist of crime, mixing counterfeit ink by candlelight, creating fake money beautiful enough to ruin real lives. It still kicks hard because it holds a mirror to ambition. How chasing one evil can morph you into something unrecognizable in the mirror at dawn. The final twist fires like a misprinted bill. Off-center, shocking, unforgettable. 4 decades later, every burnt orange skyline shot reminds viewers that sometimes the real explosion hides behind a smile and a crisp $100 note that smells like gasoline. You've just sprinted through back alley shootouts, neon showdowns, and train track hell rides that time tried to forget. These movies still sting because truth echoes louder in practical sparks and sweat-soaked courage. Which classic blindsided you most? Drop it in the comments, share the adrenaline, and keep our forgotten action heroes roaring back to life.